many kids do you have?
5.
And do all your kids have the same dad?
Yes.
Who's their dad?
Jarvis Butts.
And do you see Jarvis Butts in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you point to him and tell me the color of the clothing that he's wearing?
Green. Blue. Whatever. Green.
Green. Your Honor, would the record reflect that witnesses identified the defendant in this case?
So reflected.
Thank you, Judge. And you said your mom's name is Annette. Do you have any sisters?
Yes, 2.
What are their names?
Kenyatta Harris and Marquita Harris.
Are they older, younger, something else?
Oh, there. Marquita is a twin. She's my twin, same age.
Okay. And Kenyatta's older?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any nieces or nephews?
Yes.
Do you know someone named NaZiyahHarris?
Yes.
What's your relationship to her?
My relationship to her, she is my niece. I'm her aunt.
Okay. And whose daughter is she?
My older sister is Kenyatta Harris.
Okay. And did you have any nicknames for Naziah?
Yes. We all called her Tudda.
And is that Tudda?
Yes.
And did Naziah ever know Jarvis through you?
Yes.
Okay. And when did Naziah and Jarvis first meet?
When she was little, like age 2.
And can you kind of describe the relationship between Naziah and Jarvis?
Should be just the uncle and the niece relationship, no more than that.
How often would Jarvis be around, like at your house with you?
He will call or say, can he come see the kids, or the kids will ask, can he see their dad? And he will come, pull up either to my house where I used to live or at my mother's house.
Would Naziah ever be around?
All the kids will be around.
To your knowledge, would Naziah ever text Jarvis?
From my knowledge, no, unless I will have her to text.
Okay. But to your knowledge, you didn't know of any kind of separate outside relationship?
No.
Would there ever be times where, where did you know Jarvis Butts to work?
Pardon?
Where did you know Jarvis Butts to work?
Where did I know him to work at?
Yes.
He worked at 2 different locations. The first location would be on East Warren, and the other location would be on Grashford and Connor.
And what were those locations?
Those are the auto repair shop.
Okay.
And don't call me, no need to explain shit. I already see it.
Okay. So you were referencing some messages that you saw in Tudda's inbox.
Correct.
Tell me, how did you see some messages? Well, first of all, where were these messages, where were they at?
The day of Officer Gardner came to pick up Naziah's tablet. My mom asked me to put it on the charger. I put it on the charger. Officer Gardner, after that, Officer Gardner called and said she's on her way.
This is hearsay. Without saying what?
Okay, I'm sorry. The officer had called and said that they were on their way to come
Still
pick up
hearsay?
the tablet.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Sustained as far as hearsay.
yes, thank you, Judge. Okay, continue.
So before the tablet was picked up, I looked inside to this tablet. She has 2 passwords that I normally know. So one of them is referenced for her brother's birthday, and the other one is referenced from my password. So I put the first password in, it didn't work. So I put the second password in. So the first thing I went to was Instagram, which I was scrolling. And I seen Jarvis Butts' Instagram page. I clicked on his page, and I seen 2 messages.
Okay, and what were the messages that you saw? Who were they between, first of all?
Naziah, my niece, and Jarvis.
Okay, and what were the messages that you seen?
It was roughly 2 messages that I have seen that I can recall. States.
I'm going to object to this as hearsay. They have not been admitted, and the messages themselves would be the evidence.
Were they of any, were the messages of a sexual nature?
No.
Okay. And you said you saw 2 messages.
Yes.
Okay. Did you see anything else?
It was two sent pictures, but you can't really make anything out. It wasn't nothing there, but you know, it was a picture was sent.
Okay. What did seeing those messages, what did they cause you to do?
Well, when I see no messages, I called him
Who's that?
and Jarvis Butts.
Okay.
Called him while he was at work, asked him, what is these messages I seen between you and my niece? And he said, what messages? Said it's 2 particular messages that states out and it's a picture. And he stated that, I don't know, these messages, I told him what the messages were, and he said it was probably our children was messaging him. And I stated no, because I know how our children will text.
Okay. And reading those messages, is that what caused you to text
Mr. Butts, yes.
Mr. Butts, in that you've seen the messages in the inbox and you don't?
Coat
Okay.
she had on.
And what was the coat that she had on?
She had on, it was a 90s coat with all the characters on it.
Okay. And you recall seeing her wearing that the morning of January 9th?
Correct.
And Your Honor, may I approach people's already admitted Exhibit 2?
Yes.
I'm going to show you people's Exhibit 2. Can you tell me, do you recognize a coat in this photo?
Yes.
And whose coat do you recognize that to be?
NaZiyah's.
Okay. Now, after you, when you saw NaZiyah that morning, what did you do the rest of the morning?
Nothing, I was at home with my mom and my 2 children.
And do you ever leave the house at any point that day?
No, I was at the house the whole entire day.
Okay. And do you know what time NaZiyah would normally get home from school?
On certain days, she will stay for after school, and then on certain days she will come home. The days she will stay for after school is 6, and the days that she don't, it's at 3 o'clock.
Okay. And on January 9th, do you know if NaZiyah had the after-school program?
Yes. At that time, my mom took her out of the after-school program, so she will come home directly at 3 o'clock.
Okay. And were you home at 3 o'clock?
Yes.
And did you see NaZiyah come home?
No.
Okay. And did you see her come home at all the rest of the night?
No.
Okay. Did you leave at any point after 3 o'clock?
No.
Okay. Did you, yes, when NaZiyah didn't come home, did that cause you to experience or feel any type of way?
It did. When she didn't come home is when my mom went to go pick up the other 2 children from the after-school program. They knocked on the door and they had asked a question and said,
Objection. Sounds like hearsay.
1 second. You have a response or?
A question isn't hearsay technically.
I think she said she said.
It's just a question.
I'm
Yes.
just getting ready to say a question. Okay,
What was
finish
the
what
question?
you're
What was
saying.
the question? that was asked?
the 2 children had asked me, Mom said,
That's the hearsay.
did
Mom-
NaZiyah come home?
The hearsay is mom said.
Okay, so were you asked directly whether NaZiyah came home?
So my mom was still in the car, I was inside the house. They was coming to the house, walking up to the door. When I opened the door, they asked me, Mom said, did NaZiyah come home? I said, no.
Okay. And was NaZiyah home at all?
No.
Okay. And did you do any sort of looking for NaZiyah that night?
Yes.
What did you do?
I called my twin sister. I called some of her friends that I know that stays close by. If they had seen NaZiyah, heard from NaZiyah and everything. And when I reached out to my sister, she said no. Her friend said no. So after that, I asked my mom, Did she want me to call police? She said no, she will take it up. And
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
And for the record, this is going to be from People's Proposed Exhibit 14, and it'll be picture 34. Do you recognize these shoes?
Yes, that's a pair of shoes that my mom bought for to the birthday.
Okay, thank you. Now, back on the 9th, you said your mom was going to file a police report in the morning.
Correct.
Okay, did you go with her to file a police report in the morning?
No, it was my older sister.
Okay. Did you do anything on the 10th as it relates to trying to find NaZiyah?
Yes, we went out, I and some others went out to go get some pictures, made copies. We went to other stores, passed out flyers, and everything that we need to do. Now, what was asked of us to do.
Okay. And since January 9th, 2024, have you seen NaZiyah?
No,
Have you, since January 9th, 2024, have you heard from NaZiyah?
no.
Nothing further at this time, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Ms. Harris, I also have some questions for you. You and Mr. Butts have been, or you've known him for about 12 years?
Correct.
And fair to say that you were in a dating relationship with him for most of that time?
Correct.
But towards the end, like last year, it was more off and on, fair to say?
No, it was on and off for years.
For years, okay. But you have 5 children with him?
Correct.
And this relationship that you had with him, even towards the end when it was on, it was a sexual relationship, right?
Correct.
Sometimes you go to a motel to have sex with him,
Correct. When, yes.
and that motel was the Park Inn.
Or the SharePoint.
There was more than one.
Multiples, yes.
Okay. But one of them was the Park Said yes.
Correct.
And it said in Harper Woods,
Correct.
on Harper.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if Mr. Butts, or do you suspect that Mr. Butts has taken other women to those motels also?
Correct.
You do?
Mm,
I believe you said that you have, of your 5 children with him, 2 are girls
yes.
and 3 are boys.
Correct.
And in January of this time, well, January 2023, you were living with your mother on Bedford, correct?
Correct.
Prior to that, were you living in Clinton Township?
Correct.
When did you leave the Clinton Township home and move to the Bedford home?
October 23.
And so there were times when you were in Clinton Township that Mr. Butts would travel out there to see the kids,
Correct.
and then when you moved to the Bedford address, he would go to the Bedford address to see the kids.
Correct.
And then the Bedford address is when NaZiyah was also living there, correct?
Correct.
And I believe you just testified that on January the 9th, you were living at that house? in
Correct.
Bedford, and you were there during the day.
Correct.
And so were you one of the first people that realized that NaZiyah did not come home when she was expected to be home?
Well, I didn't realize it until I had got a question by the other kids had asked, did I have NaZiyah came home yet, or have I seen her? And I said no.
Do you remember what time that was in the afternoon?
That was in the evening. My mom picked them up 6 o'clock.
So that was about 3 hours later than she normally should have been home?
Correct.
Was that surprising?
Yes, it was. One, we thought that she was at the after-school program But it didn't dawn on no one until my mom came back to the house and she wasn't here or she wasn't in the car when they had got in the car.
And so when you all realized that she wasn't at school and she wasn't at home, was that surprising?
Yes.
But you didn't go to the police that night.
No.
She ever not returned home previously?
No, this is her first time ever doing this.
Did she have friends in the neighborhood that she would go visit?
Yes.
And you said, I think, are those the folks that you contacted to ask?
Yes.
You were just shown a pair of red and black Nike shoes, right?
Correct.
And you identified those shoes as being NaZiyah's shoe. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's a shoe that looks like the shoe that NaZiyah is wearing, correct?
Correct. Correct.
You can't say for sure that that exact
Yes, her-
shoe came from NaZiyah, is that fair to say?
Correct.
And I think you testified that very rarely would you ever use text now to contact Mr. Butts.
Right.
Only if your phone was turned off,
Right.
and that was not very often.
Right.
Would NaZiyah ever have access to your phone to use it?
Yes, like she would ask, hey TT, can I see your phone? Sure, I wouldn't mind. Yes.
And so would she text from that phone?
Probably, yes.
Did you ever notice any text from
No.
her on your phone?
No.
Did you ever notice if she had used your Text Now app?
No, the only time when I would notice something is say if me and Jarvis would we won't be on the same page seeing eye to eye, and I will call him and he say why you will call me, or like why you continue to keep calling me, and I would say I haven't called you all day or in 2 days. Then I will go ask my kids like, hey, are y'all calling your dad because I haven't called him.
Okay. And until you looked in NaZiyah's Instagram account, did you ever notice anything on your phone that caused you to be concerned?
No.
Between NaZiyah and Mr. Butts?
No.